You're listening to TehachaPod with Budge, Corey Costelloe, and Greg Garrett.
Welcome to another episode of TehachaPod here in the city of Tehachapi. Budge, along with Greg Garrett, Corey Costelloe. Gentlemen, we're off and rolling. We've got more topics to talk about than it seems like we've got time to do it.
Right. That's great. That's a great problem to have.
That is exactly what this is all about, right?
I'm really excited because I started writing things down on the board so we can talk about it. So as we come across things, we can either maybe capture an interview out on the street, or we can make sure we've got all the information for these topics and talking to people what they're interested in.
We need a bigger whiteboard and we need more time. Thank God we have a studio and we can just quickly come in here and record these and be off and running.
Well, and the good thing too, like you forget, I mean, we have our day-to-day stuff and we just write off our day-to-day stuff as day-to-day stuff. But, your day-to-day might be interesting to me. My day-to-day might be interesting to you. And that's what podcasts or documentaries, all that great stuff is awesome. So are you saying
government, we're trying to make government interesting to people?
I think people are interested. Wow, I mean, they're downloading the show.
There's the point too, right?
Yeah, they're downloading the show, so they're interested, right?
Well, let's make this interesting. Let's start talking about something. How's that sound?
We're all members of this community.
Yeah.
And a lot of government entities, the people that work there, don't necessarily live in those communities.
Yeah.
So I think that's another thing that resonates with us is we're a part of the community.
Absolutely.
Live here, work here. So
it matters what the city of Tehachapi does. Yeah. We've talked about this many times. I think the last podcast, actually, what we do, what we say, how we act, the different resolutions, our budgets, all those things matter. Just like the county of Kern, the state, all the different elements, it matters. We need to work together and have very positive relationships.
Mm-hmm. Right. Well, as we get going here within this episode, we've got a few things we're going to talk about. I want to hit on something that's going to be taking place throughout the summer months. We've already broken ground on it, the Rail Corridor Project. They're off and running, and it's going to be a continued project with all the different sections. So
this is a big project for the city of Tehachapi, something we've been planning for several years now, and it's really the last element to our downtown enhancements. So Rail Corridor Project, what does that consist of? On H Street, which is on the north side of the tracks, we will finish the curb, gutter, sidewalks, street lights, trees, and fencing along the railroad tracks, nice decorative fencing so that people will not trespass. We don't want people to be hit by train, right? That would be horrible. So it's going to look nice, it's going to be very functional, and it's going to be a safer environment. In addition to that, we have all three crossings in the city downtown. Green Street, Hayes Street, and Denison will be improved. So they're going to be wider, they're going to be smoother, they're going to have an area for pedestrians to cross in a very safe manner. So when we're done, it's going to be just stunning. So springtime, summertime, this year as we speak, contractors are out there now, and be very cautious of the construction zones for sure. Some of the crossings will be closed from time to time, not closed at the same time, so there'll always be access to the north and to the south. But we're super excited, and if anybody wants to look at the drawings, and maybe we could post that on our website. Give a little posting on the website, maybe social media key. We can post some of the drawings so that people will know what's going on there. It was approved at City Council, of course, with all the specifics. But if anybody is more interested, we can certainly share that.
I think the cool part about the project is it really extends, in my world, it extends downtown, as far as I'm concerned, into H Street officially, because it's going to be more walkable. Plus, there's so much business investment going on H Street. I mean, talk about West Lane Brewery, and there's a few other projects in the works, and then obviously this piece that's happening from the grant. So it's going to be inviting to get over the railroad tracks onto H Street now, and I think you're going to see even more businesses and even residents benefit. But really, that's going to, I think, extend downtown officially to that other side of the railroad tracks on H Street with all the amenities and then the business investment that happens over there too.
It's a natural progression.
Mm-hmm, absolutely.
Now, when we talk about intermittent closings of the crossings, let's make sure we remind everyone that there's more than one street that crosses the train tracks. Obviously, you can get on the freeway. If you want to get over to the other side, get off on Mill off the 58.
That's how I go to Home Depot.
Yeah, that's the way I do too, on and off the freeway. But the Green Street is what we're going to see closing here early on and off as they make improvements. And we've got Hayes and then Denison.
Right.
Hayes and Green get you into that neighborhood towards the airport.
They connect on H, yeah.
And then Denison takes you along the backway corridor.
Over to Challenger Drive. So you can connect to Capitol Hills, which is the hospital, Home Depot, those sorts of things.
Right. And then, of course, you've got the freeway access off of Tucker, which doesn't stop for trains. Right. So you get a chance to get through. So if you do have come to it and it shows closed, just move on to the next one, and it'll be open.
Right. Union Pacific will be managing and actually be doing all the work. The City of Tehachapi, through the grant, will be paying Union Pacific for those improvements. So they'll have their own flagmen, their own contractors, their own designers. Everybody out there is UP or RUP employees. So just be really, really careful as you move through there. Just take another minute or two, and everything will flow just nicely.
You know, with the safety, and I'm not sure if I talked about this on a prior podcast, but having a public safety background and watching small children cross the train tracks is one of those scary things. And then seeing parents leading their toddlers across, teaching them that that's okay. So I'm really happy that we're doing this for the safety of the kids.
Right. Some people may criticize us for fencing for sure, but I'll take that all day long. On the front page of the grant application, we snapped a photo of a young mother actually with a 2-year-old, 3-year-old in tow, carrying a stroller across the railroad tracks. Frightening, right? We don't want that.
Yeah.
It just don't do that.
So this is going to be one of those things that hopefully corrects that kind of behavior, and people start thinking about being safe and just take that extra minute to go across.
And it'll look nice too. I mean, the whole thing's going to look so much better. The aesthetic improvements are going to be amazing, and that's going to be a big part of the project.
Well, having the sidewalk there between Mill and Green now is huge.
Yeah.
It's amazing what the difference that it looks just having the sidewalk there.
Yeah. Improving is prideful, that's for sure.
And what I'd like to do is check in with Andrew Norton, the assistant city engineer, and Andrew can kind of give us an official update on the construction projects that are going on in Tehachapi.
Hi guys, just wanted to introduce the projects that we have going this summer. As we steam into construction season, we do have some weather for the next couple weeks. It's looking like, as you might have noticed, the rail corridor on H Street has started. So we're placing curb gutter and sidewalk along H Street, and we'll be rebuilding the at-grade railroad crossings on Green, Hayes, and Denison. So please be patient with us. I know that's going to snarl some commutes, but please be patient with us as we construct those across the railroad tracks. And we will be doing street lighting, trees, and fencing along those. So it might not be instantly accessible, but intermittently, it will be usable.
You're listening to TehachaPod.
Let's talk about Love Tehachapi for a minute.
This guy's getting good at segues. I'm
right?
telling you right now, we're making a
Peel
broadcast
back
out of
the
this
onion.
guy. I'm telling you.
Love Tehachapi.
Like, we didn't even have to prompt him.
I could master it. I've already mastered this job. I got to move on to bigger, better things.
This guy.
I'm glad you segued into that, Greg, because Corey and I had a chance to talk to Nichole Hamblin. She sat in the studio, and let's go right to it. Let's head over and catch the conversation with Corey, Nichole, and myself.
You're listening to TehachaPod.
Welcome back to TehachaPod. We've got a different segment that we're doing right now. We're in studio. Normally when we have interviews, we're out in the field, but we brought in Nichole Hamblin today. Corey Costelloe is with me, and we want to talk about Love Tehachapi. So welcome, Nichole.
Thank you, Key.
You're the first person to actually be in the studio other than Greg and Key and I, so...
I feel special then. This is awesome.
Pretty
Thank you.
Cool. Yeah. You have to sign the wall on your way out.
Okay, will do.
I like it. We want to talk Love Tehachapi. We're very familiar with it because we've been a part of it since last year. Let's give the folks a quick overview on what Love Tehachapi is and all about, and we'll kind of get into what's coming up in 2020.
Fabulous. Yeah. So Love Tehachapi kind of started with this heart impression for me to give back to Tehachapi, to love on the city that is so, so friendly, so community oriented. And I just felt like, why not keep investing in that. And then a couple other people came into the picture. And so we sat down last year, our first kickoff event day. What Love of Tehachapi is an event day where our community comes together and we love on, serve, and then spread joy in multiple ways. And what that looked like last year was some different activities that spread out throughout the city of Tehachapi and got over 100 people involved. That was people from the community, the city staff. There's other churches involved. So it was a great dynamic of people, not just one certain group. It was all of us coming together. We got great feedback. We have so many great stories that came out of that. So what that did was we thought, hey, this looks like something that we want to keep doing. And so 2020 has some great things coming.
And, I think to go back a little bit further, this group, you had mentioned to us kind of off air, you had this, when you guys came back from New Zealand to Tehachapi, you had this thought about doing something. But then when the city and the Tehachapi Police Department had the Neighborhood Improvement Project, you, your family, members of your church were kind of the first group of volunteers, and that kind of seemed to sort of start the organizing efforts of Love Tehachapi at that point.
For sure, because I think one of the things that we feel very pressed upon is to live out what we feel has been given to us. When you pour in a cup, you want to keep that, flowing out. I know that's kind of a silly analogy, but we also have 2 young boys that we are raising, and we want to live by example. So if we say, hey, you got to take care of your community, we want to show what that looks like. And so you're right, Corey, that neighborhood cleanup day was kind of that flame or that little start of fire that we're like, yeah, this is what doing life and doing community together looks like. To see my teenage boys, going to these houses and, hey, can we take some of the stuff out of your yard? It actually, the feedback once we got back in that car was like, the boys are like, this is it. This is life. This feels good. And I thought, for 2 teens to say that's pretty important. But you're definitely right. That kind of got that spark in us of what are some other ways, not only neighborhood cleanup, because we want to feel good about our city. We want our city to look good, but what are some other ways? And that's where we brainstormed more of the Love Tehachapi.
Well, I know after the Neighborhood Improvement Project, I've been involved in public safety and the government sector for like 30 years. So I've been a part of some other revitalization projects in other areas. What was different here is with volunteers, and I think because of who it was that came largely through our faith-based, we saw neighbors helping neighbors. Mm-hmm. That sent a message, and then we started to see it trickle down into the neighborhoods. Mm-hmm. And then people were sticking around after they got rid of their stuff. They stuck around to help other people. And to me, it became contagious. And then I saw on social media after the fact was like, how do I get involved? Yeah. So you got something going here. The juices are flowing. People are motivated. And now the weather's warming up.
Exactly. And that, you really hit on kind of the heartbeat behind this is not, Love Tehachapi does do event days. But what we want this doing is getting each other to go, hey, I see trash in that field, or I see that young mom trying to make it, from the groceries and the kids we want that spark to go, how can we help each other? We live in this community together. And I've seen a turn in this last few months of this community really stepping up and, like you said, helping each other, loving on each other. It just makes for safer, more fun. You feel good about not only yourself, but your neighbors.
And both personally and professionally, from the professional side, this is just like the Neighborhood Improvement Project was, but Love Tehachapi to me is definitely an economic development tool in what I do, just because, especially on the beautification efforts, to get that volunteer group to go out and clean up a lot, like we did the first time we came around and did the lot across from Walmart on Tucker. Well, it's to no fault of Walmart. It's no fault to anybody. The wind blows up here. You walk out of Walmart. They checked your receipt. You kind of loosely stuffed it in a bag, and the first gust of wind gets, see ya, it's gone, and it blows up against a fence somewhere. And so we knocked that out in we had quite a few volunteers. 35, 40 minutes, we had the thing, and it looked fantastic. So now that's always on my spot. But then not too long ago, somebody just went and cleaned that lot up, like on their own, because they saw the work that was done, and they saw it was getting trash. Wind was blowing again, and they went back and I don't even know who did it. Someone went out there and just picked it up on their own. And
awesome.
And so like that, the little trickle down effect, and it was great, to be a part of that, to do that. And then over by Home Depot as well, to clean up that area. Same thing, trash, receipts, bags. People aren't really littering. This stuff's just flying out of cars as they park at a windy parking lot in our community. So
yeah, and you touched on something is I've had people since. I mean, our last event day was in October of 2019, but I've had people emailing me and messaging me saying, when are we going to do this again? Or have you seen it? And I say, and I encourage them to say, there are more dates coming, but please don't wait for those dates to go out and do an awesome thing. Right. Yeah. But, it's such a gift to have that motivation inside of me to motivate others. But I say, definitely don't wait for our April date. Go out. If you feel an urge to grab a family and some friends to clean up a yard or to pick up some trash, please do, because it will, again, spark other people going, oh, we can do this. We can pick up trash, or we can, look at our neighbor and go, oh, they're having a hard time keeping their yard maintained, but I'm going to, I can help them. And that's what we want this to do. We don't want it just to be once, twice a year, 3 times a year. We want it to be this infectious, contagious, hey, let's do this.
Well, I know with the last one, you guys had a full slate of properties, and one came to our attention that was a widow, disabled, and her property had taken over. Mm-hmm. Her.
Yes.
And she was, there was depression and other things, emotions that go with it. And you guys were adding it to the list. We don't care. We'll stay out a little longer if we have to. We're adding it to the list. You did it. And the impact that had on her and her family was huge. And the feedback that I got was the emotional relief in the sense of someone else cares and took that time.
Right.
So
right.
It's so much more than just, we take pride. I mean, you're actually, the word love goes so much deeper, and it penetrates into other people's lives.
Right. And thank you for bringing up that lady, because and that crew. They had been out all morning. They had already done 2 other yards that we did initially have on our list, and then that one came in. And I have to just give kudos to that crew, and the point person for that crew was like, sure, we're going to do it. And what was awesome about that last yard is there was some, actual personal of that family that showed up, and they did it with us. And that story is probably one of my favorites, is just because that's what we are. We want to encourage, we're coming alongside you. It's not a hand out. It's a hand up. We see you. We care about you. You are important to us. Let's do this together. And that's what we're trying to create.
When I first met Nichole, I think she cold emailed me like, hey, here's who I am. My husband and I just moved back to Tehachapi. And I want to meet with you, and I've got some ideas. And I'm like, okay. And I get these requests all the time. People, I want to meet with you. I got some. Okay. So we have the meeting, and basically, I think the first thing Nichole says when she's down, she's like, okay, we're here. How can I help? And I'm like, usually that's the other way around. Someone comes in my office, says, okay, here, I need you to do something for me, right?
What's in it for me?
Yeah, exactly. And so, anyway, we had a great meeting. I think this possibly came up and all this stuff. And so I think I shared this story on social media, and I had a friend, and I said the exact same thing. And my friend's like, how do you respond to that? And I said, I don't know. I didn't know how to respond to it either. I'm like, what do you mean, how can you help? I don't. So we figured it out, and obviously Nichole's super genuine in what she does and love Tehachapi as well. So anyway, it's just one of those, I don't get those moments a lot. Most people come in, it's a mutual relationship. Hey, let's do this. Let's work together. But someone just come and say, hey, what can I do for you?
and Corey, that reminds me is because you gave me some things to, hey, why don't you come to some city council meetings, sit in, see the heartbeat of our city, see what's already going on. And that was such a great tool for me to kind of definitely collect okay, here's who's in this community. Here's kind of some need. And what I felt from those, not just the city council meetings, but going to some other things, other opportunities, was we have a community that is desperate in need of being a community and loving on each other and doing this together. Tehachapi is a gem. This is a gem, and this is a city that if we don't keep investing and protecting, we could lose this genuine. It's almost like that flashback of, are we in the 50s still? Are we, and I love that people are moving here.
Tehachapi, the 50s with cell phones.
Right? Yeah. But, and you touched on too, is we got to pick to come back to Tehachapi. And to me, that is such a great opportunity to raise our boys here. We are blessed. And with that blessing, we will continue to give out as a family.
My wife and I look at this as a slice of Americana that doesn't really exist anymore. It gave us a chance to raise our son in an environment that we were raised in. Mm-hmm. We were not anywhere here in this county when we grew up, but it gave us that sense that we had 30 years ago, that there is still parts of America that are still wholesome and have values. And so,
and I tell the story all the time. I was raised in this community. I was raised in this town. It's better now. Mm-hmm. And I say it's better now because we were sure if your definition of better is smaller, okay, sure, 30 years ago it was smaller.
Right.
But it didn't mean it was a community back then. I think a lot of the people were just, it's a small town and you knew everybody. Did you necessarily work together? Not as much as we do now, I think. So I think where we're at now as we grow up is in a better place as a community, not just a city or, an area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's move to 2020.
Okay. Yes.
We've got
so many
a project coming up.
Yes. Yeah. So our next one is Saturday, April 18th. And what excites me about this day is what I did first and foremost is I kind of sent out to Corey. I'm like, okay, what's coming up? What's the city already got planned? And Corey Torres actually emailed me back and he said, well, we do have a fishing derby. And I said, well, what day is that? Happens to be Saturday, April 18th. I said, okay, we're going to lock in this date. So that's one of our main activities. We're going to do 2 shifts out there. So we need some, if you're listening, we need you. We need you to come out early in the morning to do a shift or in the afternoon. But we're just coming out. We're offering our team to Corey in the Parks and Rec and saying, what can we do? So we'll do a shift in the morning to kind of help park cars, do some donuts, do some coffee. And in that, we're partnering with other businesses here in our town to help with those donuts and the coffee. That's what I love about this is we're networking, we're working together. I've got some people that said, oh, I definitely want to join that. And then that afternoon shift is giving out prizes. And I jokingly said in the meeting the other night, I said, the prettiest fish is going to get a prize. And Corey kind of looked at me and said, really? But so we'll do that. That day also, we're going to bring back our reverse car wash, which was probably one of our most favorite and has some great stories from last time. I get asked all the time, what is a reverse car wash? No, we don't throw mud back on your car. What has been so fun is, so a couple people came through that reverse car wash in October and tears in our cars. And I'm thinking, what? But there's people that either one can't afford to go get their car washed or aren't physically able to be washing their car. Let us do it for you. So we wash your car and then we hand you a $1 bill and we hand you a water bottle and we hand you a kind bar and we say, we love you. Thank you for letting us wash your car. That's happening. We're going to partner with the library. They have a Lego club that meets that exact day. We're bringing in some new Lego sets. We're going to sit down and build Legos with these kiddos. We've got some treats coming. We are going to do another yard maintenance, another trash cleanup. Corey has been so good at we feel like we not only partner, but we're family with the city, really. That's what I don't want to say we're partnering. We're family with the city. So Corey gets that all set up. I've got a long list of people that loved the trash cleanup. It's really fun for kiddos too, because they love that. They love having the pickup grabbers.
Our public works guys give the vests for safety, our grabbers and the bags and everything. And we dispose it all public works when we're done.
Yeah, that was probably one of the families tended to go to that one. We have I'm gonna look down at my notes just so I don't forget anything. One of the other ones is the Love Mob crew. That was a favorite, especially on social media. So I've had a lot of people saying, how can I be a part of the Love Mob? That's just going out and blessing our community. That's showing up at businesses, private homes, and we did some really awesome things. That was gift cards, that was flowers, that was giving hugs. And when that mob shows up, it's very, whoa, what's going on? But yeah, and it not only changed our community through, like I said, the social media sharing and people reaching out, how do I be a part of that? But the crew that went out, they really got touched. They thought, this is what living our lives should look like, giving. And on Monday night, I was privileged to sit under some teaching. And what he said that really stuck with me is we need to be loving people until they ask why. And I really feel Love Tehachapi this year is going to get to do that. And I'm excited to see more lives getting loved on, but also people coming alongside their neighbors with that spreading, that contagious. So it's Saturday, April 18th. If you want to be a part, see what we're doing on our Facebook page, which is simply Love Tehachapi, or feel free to email me, Nichole at NicholeHamblin.com. I am so honored to get to help navigate this. This has been a huge blessing for me.
I didn't realize there was Legos involved, though, on the 18th.
Right?
I've already signed up for the trash crew, and there's Legos involved?
Sorry.
Goodness gracious.
I know.
Man, I missed out on the Legos.
Yeah. Well, I didn't tell you because I didn't want to. I didn't want you to not lead up. Yeah. Right? Yeah. And then I would have been scrambling for a point person for our cleanup. Yeah. Yeah.
So Facebook, Love Tehachapi.
Yeah.
That's where folks can get information. They can get in connection with you.
Message me. Yep.
And it's off and running. So what we'll do is we'll make sure that we share your page on the city page.
Perfect.
So that way, if folks forget, they'll see it on the city page.
Yeah.
So we'll get the information out there.
And everybody gets to play. I know that kind of sounds like a cheesy line, but there's a spot for, so, we've got some introverted people like my husband who, he wants to do something that's not maybe love mob. Maybe he doesn't want to give hugs. He can reverse car wash. So everybody gets to play. There's a spot for you. You're not going to, I have a few things that I say, little kids, maybe we want to protect them, but they can come, they get to play.
Love it.
Yeah.
It's a great community event. I mean, we got to experience it, Corey and I, firsthand with your crew being involved in Neighborhood Improvement Project, being out there on those Saturdays. And it gets contagious. It's amazing to see how people respond to it. And it's growing. And I know it's an idea that you had, and then we had a little something, and you brought yours to it. And boy, I just kudos.
Well, and the beauty part of it is, too, it's just necessarily, this happens at multiple levels of government, but people always want to look at the government agency. What are you doing to fix this? What's the city doing? Well, obviously, we'd love to do a lot more, right? We just don't have the bodies, time. You can do anything with time and money, right? And bodies, and we don't have all of that. But when they see, or we can work with community groups that are doing that, then that changes the narrative a little bit, because something's being done, but it's being done in a creative way, and the community's taking charge of a lot of this stuff, which is awesome.
Yeah, it is our city, right? It's our city and it's our people. And at the end of the day, if we want it to be clean and safe and fun and loving, we have to put in and invest and create that. And it's such an easy thing to do, and yet it's hard because it does take time, but you get out of it so much more than you've invested. That's so true.
Well, Nichole Hamblin, love Tehachapi. It was April 18th.
Saturday, April 18th.
Love it. It's time to step up and let's go get it.
And Key, it just came to my mind. There are T-shirts. We're doing a new batch. Right. So if you did not get your Love Tehachapi T-shirt, I'm having more made by a local guy. Again, collaborating with a guy who, businesses here in our community. We want to keep this local. So if you want a T-shirt too, even if you just want to sport it around, we've got those coming. And we just cover our costs. So they're $5 a shirt. It's a beautiful investment, in my opinion, to wear that and just be proud of your community.
Is this a hashtag?
It's a hashtag Love Tehachapi T-shirt. Yep.
Cool shirt.
It
Excellent.
Is. Yeah.
Well, I'm in. I don't have one yet. So
okay, I'll get you one. Definitely. Yes.
Good deal. Well, Nichole, thank you for coming in the studio. We appreciate it.
Thanks.
And
Thank you.
This is going to be an incredible event. I already know it.
Thank you, Key. Thank you, Corey.
Alrighty.
So we had the chance to talk to Nichole. Love Tehachapi. All their information is on Facebook at Love Tehachapi.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about it. It was great to work with them last year the way we did, and I think they're doing really positive things in the community.
And as I mentioned, it was just kind of, they were involved. They had an idea. They got involved with the Neighborhood Improvement Project without really even being a banner, just a bunch of volunteers. And then that kind of created the official sort of, so for us, really, it took the Neighborhood Improvement Project and has really made it even bigger and put it community-wide, not, neighborhood-centric, which we'll continue to do. But this is a little bit different model, but it's great. And they still continue to help out. They helped out with the first cleanup of the second neighborhood in the Neighborhood Improvement Project. So they're involved now with that too. It's awesome.
They're great partners in the community. Well, I think that wraps up another episode of TehachaPod. Want to remind everybody, if you've got an idea for a future episode, something you'd like us to talk about, you've got a question about something that we bring up, you can send that in an email to media@TehachapiCityHall.com. You can always call us here at City Hall at 822-2200. We're happy to answer questions and love to hear from you. So thanks for joining us. Greg, Corey, thank you once again for taking the time to sit in the studio.
All right, we'll see you next time.
It's good.
TehachaPod is a conversation about Tehachapi designed for the people who live here or who would like to know more about this mountaintop community. If you have a question you would like answered, email media@TehachapiCityHall.com. We will try to answer it on a future episode of TehachaPod.